Hi guys, I'm Amanda and you're watching the Reading and Writing Life. This is a weekly wrap up. If you've been here before, you know that I don't usually do these because I worry about the books that I read before, like earlier in the week, and maybe I won't remember what I want to say about them. That's why I've always done it as soon as I finished reading a book. However, I've started just taking notes. After I read the books, I just write some notes down and then I remember what I want to say about them, and it makes it easier, and I can do it here all at one time in one place and then share it out on Fridays. So first, for the announcement, I just have a couple of announcements. Number one, I have my own Discord. I will put the link in the description. It'll actually be in the description of each one of my videos. You can go there and come find us. It's really small right now because it's brand new. So I would like your help in building it up. My second announcement is that my TBRs from now on, every month on my TBR, I'm going to leave a space there for subscriber recommendations. Now, all I'm asking is that people comment a book that they recommend that I read, and then sometime in that next month, I will read it. So any books that you've read, that you've heard about, just put it down in the comments. I'm going to put them all in a wheel, and I will spin the wheel, and the one that pops up is the one that I'm going to read. And I'm going to keep the ones in there that people suggest. And then as more suggestions come in, I'm just adding more options to the wheel. I'm not going to be checking to be like, well, this person commented, but they're not actually a subscriber. I'm just calling it a subscriber recommendation, but you don't technically have to be subscribed, although please do that because I'm getting close to 100 and I'm excited about it. Which brings me to the next announcement. I'm going to be releasing a video probably tomorrow where I'm just talking about a challenge that I want to do. I stole the idea from David Wiley. I saw his channel, which I will share below, and I saw his video about this, and he was close to a milestone of subscribers. I'm not exactly sure where he was, but anyway, I'm gonna do the same kind of thing that he did. First of all, put your authors down below, just the name of an author. You can tell me the genre that they write in. That doesn't really matter to me, but I'm gonna take the list of every author that people give me on this video and on the one coming out tomorrow, and I am going to randomly, again, on a wheel, choose one of the authors that you suggest, and I will read everything in their catalog. My plan is that I will do one of their works a month, if it is a novel form. If it is short stories or if it's poetry or something like that, then I plan to read it, more than one a month. But right now, the plan is, if I don't know who the author is right now, the plan is to do one a month until I work through their whole catalog. And so we will be talking about that on my Discord server, as well as the subscriber recommended book that I read each month. We will talk about that on my Discord. And so if you haven't checked yet, go look in the description box and get over there. Okay. I'm going to read one author as of right now. Today, when I film this, I have 87 subscribers. We'll talk about that in just a second. And if I get to 100 subscribers by July the 1st, then I'm going to do 2 authors. So today is June 18th when this is coming out. And so I have roughly 2 weeks to get 13 more subscribers. If that happens, then I'm going to spin twice. And that's the same thing that David did, and he met his goal, and so he spun 2 times. He had some extra things thrown in there that he was going to do. I'm not doing any of that. That's my thing. I'm going to pick one, just no matter what, I'm going to pick one. And then if I get to 100 subscribers by July 1st, I'm going to pick 2 authors, and I'll do the same thing. Read one work by each author per month until I'm done with their whole catalog. We'll just see how long it takes. So give me some suggestions below here. Tomorrow will be like the official announcement video, which is just going to be a short video saying what I just said right here about it. But then you can comment below that video as well. My last announcement is some book mail. Actually, my first bit of book mail since joining Booktube, like gifted book mail. I don't mean I've not bought anything. I just mean nobody's ever sent me anything. This is from Kate at the Literary Apothecary. She is my captain on Team Aphrodite this year in the Olympics Shelf Space Olympics readathon that we've all been talking about. And she sent me a birthday present. My birthday was last week, and she got this off my wish list. The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra by Wasim Khan. I am so excited to read this. I had it on my wish list because I heard it was on a list of like really good mysteries. And since I love mysteries, I decided to put it on the list, and she picked it for me. So I'm really excited about this. So far, I don't have this on my upcoming TBR for July, but I'm going to put it on my shelf and we'll see when it comes up. Speaking of Kate from the Literary Apothecary, I wanted to take just a second to thank my new subscribers. So since last week, these are the people who have subscribed. Kisty Reads, Miss Reads a Lot, Mila's Book Reviews, Knitting Books, etc., Tammy Moon, and Egghead. Egghead happens to be one of my children, and he came in just this morning before I started filming, and he said, I subscribe to your channel. And I was like, great. You don't really have to watch the videos. I don't think you'll be interested in the books. So anyway, I just thought that it was cute. And thank you to everybody that has subscribed. I am excited that there are more people who want to discuss the books and to find out what I'm reading. I like it. Okay, now we're going to go through the books that I finished this week. I finished The Witches by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl? I don't know how to say his name. He's Welsh. And that's the reason that I read it. I am doing the Reading Europe 2021, Reading Europe 2020 reading challenge with Mark from Book Time with Elvis. I always have to look it up because for some reason I wanted to say Reading with Elvis, but it doesn't. It's Book Time with Elvis, but the man's name is Mark because his dog's name is Elvis. So that was confusing to me at first because he would say, welcome to Book Time with Elvis. It's me, Mark. And I was like, well, what does that mean then? Anyway, he came up with this challenge where he would draw names for the European soccer tournament or football tournament that's happening now in Europe. And you are assigned a team and you read a book from your assigned team. That's the first step. And then as your team progresses through the tournament, or doesn't, you may have to read more books. If your team wins, you're good. You don't have to read anything else. If your team loses, then you have to read a book from the winning team's country, either an author from that country, a book about that country, or something set in that country. So it's been a lot of fun, and there are 24 teams, I think, and he's gotten like 25 or 26 people so far. So it's been really fun. Wales won their first round. Actually, they didn't win. It was a draw, which is still weird to me that they end in a tie, but whatever. All that means is neither one of us had to read an extra book. So I'm good so far with The Witches. I knew that he was a Welsh author, but I didn't know which one of his books to read. I mean, he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he wrote the BFG, and he wrote a lot of stuff. One of my children, my youngest son, loves his books, and he read them all when he was like 12 or 11 or 12. And so I went to him and I was like, hey, if you just had to pick one, which one would you suggest I read? And he said, The Witches. And so I read it. I really liked it. I've never seen the movie. I know they made a movie about it. So maybe he and I can watch the movie together one night. I don't know. But it was really cute, and it was just scary enough that I think if you were like 10 or 11, you'd probably be kind of scared about it. I do have some thoughts that are spoilery, so maybe skip ahead to the next book right quick. I will move this off the screen when I stop talking about this book. Anyway, here's the thing I want to say about it. I don't like that the happy ending included him just forever being a mouse and being okay with dying in 9 years. Like, I was like, I'm not happy about that. I mean, I realize his parents are already dead. Like, it's not the happiest of books. But, I mean, a lot of people die in this book, in this, like, kid's book. There are a lot of people who die, and a lot of people who are forever transformed into mice. So, anyway, I mean, it was good. And he was right. It was a good book. So I'm glad that I read it. But and I'm done with the tournament for now. My team is playing later today, so by the time this comes out on Friday, you will already know whether I had to read another book. I think we're playing Turkey today, so whether I had to read a Turkish book or not, we'll see. Okay, the next book that I actually finished both books in this duology, Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. They were both so good. I think I gave them both 5 stars. I really, really liked Strange, the character. His name is Laszlo Strange. And there's so many twists and turns in this book. But, and there are a couple of things where I was like, I called that. Like, I knew that was going to happen. There were a few little hints that she was giving where I was like, okay, well, I know what that's going to mean, and I know what that's going to come back and do. But still, the overall storyline in both of them was so good. I really liked how everybody kept saying that the writing was so beautiful, and I thought, like sometimes when the writing gets to be too flowery, it's hard to say. When the writing gets to be too poetic, I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't care what the sky looks like. I just need to know what color it is. Like, so I just like lots of action. And I was worried when I heard people talking about it because I knew I wanted to read both books for the readathon. And I just thought, oh, this might not be okay, but it was actually great. There was enough action. So, and it was beautiful writing. Like the descriptions that she would give sometimes, I just thought, oh, that's such a beautiful way to put that. And so I just really liked, I liked a lot about it. So I gave them both 5 stars and I liked them. The next book I read was Salem's Lot, which is on my journey to the Dark Tower. I read this book when we went home for my birthday to go visit my parents and see all my family members. We had a little family reunion and it was my birthday and I read Salem's Lot. Again, Stephen King likes to give you partial information about people, usually told from the narrator, like the narrator leaves us with holes. I know that sometimes that happens in books where you have holes and you need them filled in, but that seems to be part of the plot sometimes. And this literally is just the narrator telling you, well, at the very beginning, this is not a spoiler. At the very beginning, you have the tall man and the boy. And I'm like, are you just purposefully not telling us their names because we have to figure it out? And that's exactly what it was, because the rest of the book was kind of a flashback about how the tall man and the boy got to where they were and where they had been previous. And as the book is progressing, more and more people are dying. And you're like, oh, well, clearly I don't know who the tall man and the boy are. I have to figure out who they're going to be because there are multiple options that it could be as you go through the book. Anyway, this book is about vampires, which I did not know before I started reading it. The intro is Stephen King talking about the process of writing this book and where he came up with the idea. And he was talking about Dracula, like the original Dracula. And I paused it and I said to the people in my car, oh, did you know that Salem's Lot was about vampires? And they were all like, no. I said, okay, well, it is. And I actually just hit play in the whole car. And so my husband and my teenagers listened to a little bit of the beginning of the book. And I think they were really liking it. I mean, I was too. So I thought that it was good. I keep having hit or misses with Stephen King. Like, I feel like his books either flow really well and there's enough action to keep me interested, or they start to kind of lag. Like, I never made it through Carrie. Like, I was like, I didn't finish it. I was going to read all of his stuff starting at the beginning, which is Carrie. But then number 2 is Salem's Lot. And when I had such a hard time with Carrie, I thought, well, I should probably just not do this then. Because that's a lot of books to get through if you don't like it. So when I started reading through the Dark Tower and I got this Dark Tower thing that I want to do, and I knew that I needed to read The Gunslinger and then Salem's Lot next, I thought, well, I'm going to have to do it, Salem's Lot. And I really liked it. It was really enjoyable. Now, there were some moments where I was like tense. I thought, okay, I don't know which way this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. And I was a little bit worried. I wouldn't say that I ever got scared. And I never got this feeling that I get when you're in the house by yourself and it's dark. I can't read scary books then, but I never got that feeling in this book. What else did I finish? The False Prince. This is such a good premise. So this is a middle grade maybe. I don't think it's YA. I think it might be middle grade. It is about a boy who is in an orphanage, and he is bought from the orphanage by this guy who wants to adopt him, but actually he finds out pretty quickly that the man works for the kingdom. Like, he's pretty high up in the royal line, lineage. No, he's not in the line. He's pretty high up in the ruling council kind of thing. And the whole, let me see if this is a spoiler. No, I don't think that it is, because I don't know what the blurb says on the book. I don't ever read blurbs on the books, but the whole royal family is gone, and he is buying orphans who look enough like they could be the long lost son of the royal family, who they think died at sea. And so he's trying to get these guys to audition for the part of the prince, and then he's going to present him and say, this is the prince. So that was a really good book. And what happened going through there, and I mean, some of it you can predict ahead of time, but it was really quick and a really good read. I liked it. Okay, I've got to go through the rest of them faster, or this video is going to be really long, and I'm going to be burning up by the time we finish, because there's no air. There's no air out here, and I live in Texas. Okay, City of Ghosts. I really liked this book. I loved the premise of it. There's a girl who nearly died, and now she kind of has one foot in the afterlife and one foot in the real life. Her best friend is a ghost, and she finds out a lot of stuff about herself. Her parents are both like ghost hunters, but they come at it from two different directions. Her dad's like analytical and scientific about it, and her mom is just all like free-spirited and believes in all the ghosts and all the things. And her dad is kind of like the one who is trying to debunk everything and be like, that's not really a ghost. So she doesn't tell them that she can see ghosts, and she doesn't tell them that she talks to ghosts. Well, she kind of told them about her best friend, and they just kind of were like, okay, now she has an imaginary friend or whatever. But the next one that I finished was Daughter of the Pirate King. I really liked this one, and I will be continuing with this one. She is more than she seems to be in this book, and we follow her story and what's going on with her. And at the very beginning, we see her get kidnapped by another group of pirates, and we find out really quickly, it's not a spoiler, that it was on purpose. But what purpose, I'm not going to tell you. It is just a cute story about her kind of trying to please her father, but at the same time she realizes that her father, the Pirate King, is really not a nice man. And it's got some mythological stuff in it, and I just really liked it. Like, it was cute, and there are other ones in this series as well. The next book that I read was the one I liked the least, called Starship Troopers. It's an old book, and they made a movie about it that I've never seen either. I needed something to fulfill the prompt about military sci-fi or military fantasy. And this is definitely military sci-fi. It has a lot of military planning and discussion and training and all of that stuff. And I loved those aspects of it. I really did. My main problem with this was how super sexist this book was. Like, I realized that it was written maybe in the 80s, maybe in the 90s. I don't know when it was written, but a long time ago. I don't think that excuses the fact that he kept saying, the main character was our narrator, by the way. The main character kept insinuating that the only reason he was fighting, or the only reason that anybody would be fighting, was for the women. Like, he would say things like, it was nice to get to see women and remind us all about the reason that we're out here doing this. I was like, really? That's why you're fighting wars with alien bugs? Anyway, also, a couple of times they were on the ship, and he would say, like, the fact that the ship had male and female workers on it. The females were all the pilots. Like, they were not going down and doing the actual fighting of the bugs. They were the pilots. But they were on the ship with him, and he would say things like, they wanted every man to rotate through the floor, being the guard on that floor, so that they could get a glimpse of the women occasionally to keep up their morale. I was just like, that seems like obsessive. Like, give those people a break if that's how they're feeling. I don't know. It was just weird to me. And however, the military stuff I really liked, and the overall storyline I really liked. I did not connect with our main character. I was just like, okay, dude, maybe you need to have some leave. But I did like the storyline, how it came full circle. I liked the stuff that they showed and the military stuff, living the life in the military. I really thought, okay, this guy who wrote this book clearly was in the military or grew up around the military. Like, he just knew a lot of the stuff that I think you have to be on the inside to know. And it was okay. I think I only gave it 3 stars, maybe only 2.5 stars, but I didn't love it. Next book I also didn't love was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is the book of the month read on the Shelf Space Discord server. And so there will be a discussion at the end of the month or the beginning of July about this book. So I wanted to read it so that I could have a discussion. And again, this narrator, whose name is Jason, seemed super obsessed with his wife. Like, it seemed to be the only reason he would do anything. And he was supposed to be like astrophysicist smart. And he had an idea for this cool kind of like interdimensional box thing. And he didn't get funding for it. And she found out she was pregnant. And so he quit that job and went and got a job as a professor, and they had a baby and raised the baby, and now he's 14 years old, and the guy goes out to get ice cream on family night, and he's on his way home and he gets kidnapped, and he wakes up and he's in a different dimension. That's all I'm going to tell you. It becomes super convoluted. There are a few times where his own logic doesn't even work for him. Like, he says something happens when you do this one thing, and yet when this one thing happens to another person, nothing happens. Like, it doesn't do it. So, I don't know. Also, I kind of liked the ending, but also the ending was even kind of sketchy to me. So, this one again got 2.5 stars. It was just, meh. Then, the last one, I just finished last night, The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. It's the first book I've ever read by her. And this is a trilogy, which I didn't know until I finished yesterday. So I will be reading the trilogy. But we are with Yena. She is our main character. I listened to this mostly on Audible, by the way. I do almost all my books on Audible and some kind of ebook or physical format, if I can. If I can't, then I don't. I'm not spending $1 million on books every year. But we are with Yena, and she finds out that her grandfather has requested, her grandfather is the king of this kingdom, the 100,000 Kingdoms, and he has requested her to come to him. Now, she is the daughter of his daughter, and his daughter was disowned and wiped from the family list and the lineage and all of that because she chose to marry a man from a different kingdom, and they moved out. So Yena has kind of been ruling her mom's kingdom, the Dar people, and now she is being called to the Sky Kingdom. And when she gets there, she just finds out that, the corruption is rampant here. And maybe she's not been called there for the most morally innocent reasons. I don't know a way to put it without giving away some of it. So she is learning about the castle and the beings that are inside it and the rules the same time we are, which makes it great as the reader because then there's not a lot of like exposition. It's just we find out when she finds out, and she doesn't learn everything in like a big info dump. There are smaller info dumps along the way, but they feel more natural because they're happening progressively and not like everything at one time. So I really like the way she made the world, the way she built up the world. And then I just really loved the world and the characters in it. Sia was my favorite, if you've read this. And I will say, there are some creepy moments where I'm like, that is creepy. Like in a ew, weird sense, more so than a like, I'm going to scare you sense of creepy. So just, that was weird. But not so weird that I don't want to know what happens next. So I will for sure be adding her to my continuing series because I want to finish this trilogy and get ready for the next one. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a lot. And that's everything that I've read in the last week. So let's talk about what I'm reading right now. I'm reading 3 things. On my Kindle, I'm reading March by John Lewis. This is a graphic novel that talks about their march on the bridge, the Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. I am reading, that is for the Apollo prompt on the readathon, is to read a non-traditional book. So that's what I'm reading. I'm reading The Bookshop of Yesterday, and I've just started. I'm only on chapter 3, and already I have some ideas and some things that I would like to talk about, which is why I'm glad it's a buddy read. I'm reading this with Amanda at the Curly Reader, and so we're just on Voxer, and we just go back and forth and be like, well, I just read chapter 3, and what do you think is going on with this? Because here's what I think is happening, and that's how we do it. So it makes it really easy to buddy read the books because I don't feel like I'm just sitting around waiting for her, because I just say, like, I'm about to talk about chapter 3, and then that way if she hasn't gotten to chapter 3 yet, she doesn't get spoilers. So it works well for us. And and I'm reading The Eskimo Slugger by Matt Boney. I know his last name's Boney. It might not be Matt. This is the second book that I've read from him and the second book in this series. And it is almost like a fantasy. I mean, I feel like it involves reincarnation in some kind of way. Like I said, the first book did. I'm not sure about this book, but it's the second book in a series, and I'm just at the very beginning of this book too. But we have a professional baseball player from Alaska, which is why it's called the Eskimo Slugger. And I don't know what's going to end up happening with him. It is an MM romance, but also, like I said, it has some fantasy elements in it. So there's that. Now, what is coming up next is The House in the Cerulean Sea. Oh my goodness, I have heard about this book so much over the last 2 months, and it's all been great. I've not heard one person that said that they didn't like it or that it was just Everybody has loved it. And so I'm really excited to read that. I'm reading that also with Amanda from the Curly Reader. I told her that I was ready to do The Bookshop of Yesterday, but I needed to read The Cerulean Sea, and I could do whichever one first that she wanted to, if she needed more time before we started The Bookshop of Yesterday. And she said, let's just buddy read both of them. I was like, okay, that works for me. So that's what we're doing. We're buddy reading both books. So as soon as we finish The Bookshop of Yesterday's, we will start The House in the Cerulean Sea. So I'm really excited about that one. And next after that is going to be my final prompt book for the readathon. It'll be my 16th readathon book. It'll be probably like my 18th or 19th book of the month, but for the readathon, I'll be all done, and it's called The Soda Fountain. It is a book with food on the cover, and it is a book about how soda fountains were first established around the country whenever they were really popular. So I'm kind of excited about that, and apparently it even has some recipes in it. So I'm going to be reading that on Kindle. And that's it. I just picked 2 books that were upcoming. I don't know what else I will read before I see you here next week. So that's all I'm picking for now. That's it. My first Friday wrap-up is done. I'm sorry that it's so long. I will really do my best to try to make it a lot shorter next time. And I don't know, I just read a lot of books, and then I want to talk to people about these books. Anyway, I will close it out here. Don't forget to go down and join my Discord server. I would love to see you there and talk about some of these books. Don't forget to leave recommendations for my subscriber read for the month of July. And don't forget to leave authors down there for my author challenge that's coming up, or that's beginning on July 1st. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Bye.